Welcome back to the series on developing critical thinking skills in the primary classroom. I'm so glad that you've joined us today. Today, we're going to be talking about analysis. This is a series that I have written a book about developing critical thinking skills in the primary classroom, and I'm going through the different elements of the framework that I've specifically developed to help teachers to be able to implement strategies in their classrooms that will really enhance the learning process and bring some of the traditional methods that we're used to closer to 21st century learning methodologies. So today we're going to talk about analysis. We started off a few weeks ago, before Christmas actually, with talking about open-mindedness and self-regulation as the foundation of learning and growing for especially young learners. And then we moved on to observation last week as the information gathering that we can do when we use all of our senses. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please go back to the page. All of the lessons are uploaded there and you can listen to those topics. So today we're moving into analysis. We've observed and we've built the systems, the foundational open-mindedness and self-regulation systems that we need to be able to learn and grow. And so now, after we've observed the information, now what are we going to do with that information? So we're going to start off with talking about why analysis matters. I don't know if you noticed the subtitle, but it's "This is where the magic of learning happens." I love that. It's because did you ever gather a bunch of information together, and then because of all this information you figured something out, and you had that light bulb moment, that excitement that you felt in your heart? This is the excitement that we want to allow for our students. We want all of these light bulb moments to be happening within the classroom. And this is really what's going to keep our children, our students engaged in the learning process and wanting more and more, because that feeling of when you were able to do something, like figure something out by yourself, that brings dopamine, and then that feeling makes you want to have more of that. So it's all such a great feeling that you can have with the students as they're learning and growing. So this is why analysis is so important. So analysis is what allows learners to move beyond surface understanding. Sometimes you're going to see me looking to the right. I have a double screen here, and so my notes are there to keep me on topic so that I don't just keep talking and talking, because I have a habit of doing that sometimes. And analysis helps students break ideas down into parts. If you can take something full like a function or a system and then break it down into parts, and that will help you to understand why different things happen. Getting information, observing is the what. Analysis is the how and the why. And these are very important questions that we need to be asking our students on a regular basis to get them thinking. They need to have the attitude that they can figure out stuff. It's not just the teacher who has all the answers, that they can be given information and they can figure out the answers as well. So without analysis, learning stays shallow and fragile. So memorizing information is not the same as understanding. And so many times we ask our students to memorize so many facts and figures. We write information on the board and tell them to copy it and to repeat back to us what they've written. We ask them to listen to us as we talk and then recall what we talked about. All of this is well and good. It's a good way to get information out there, but we need to be moving from those kinds of activities to more activities where we're giving students information and allowing them to ask the questions of themselves and analyze the information that you're giving them to answer their own questions. And so much of this is not about being right, not about expecting right answers, only expecting them to be able to look at information and have a reason why they've determined that when they put this piece of information together and this piece of information together, that they get a certain result. So it's a very important distinction that we need to make, that analysis is not recall. Recall is just repeating what they've read or what you have said. I lived in Ghana for 3 years, and I'm just so looking forward to moving back to Ghana. And so much of my work that I've put into this book comes from just my passion as I was working with the kids in Ghana to support them and to support the teachers. I did a few teacher trainings before COVID kicked us out of the schools, and it was really exciting to work with the teachers and to really support them in this process of building up the critical thinking skills in their classrooms. And so you see how I get off topic so quickly. So back to recall. So analysis versus recall is a very important distinction to make in terms of understanding what our kids are able to do. So recall just means that you are regurgitating or just saying what was said to you. So either by having something written on the board and you write it, or reading a textbook, or just saying memorized facts, all of that is just recall. It doesn't indicate any form of analysis. So just to clarify, recall is like remembering facts, and analysis is examining the how and the why. Some examples: naming parts is recall. Explaining the relationships between the different parts, that's analysis. Repeating information is recall. Interpreting information to say this is what it actually means is analysis. And so we need to be able to teach our students, and not teach, but evoke, to bring out of our students this kind of thinking. We don't need to teach them in the sense of like, this is how you do it. We need to teach them in the sense that we need to be asking them questions and modeling this kind of analysis. We need to be showing them through our language and how we present that it's all about processing information, looking at different kinds of information, and coming up with new ideas, and not about being right. And analysis is not a higher level worksheet. It's thinking and processing in a different way than just making marks on a page. So, what does analysis look like in the classroom? Comparing data, images, or texts that you're giving them pieces of information, and then you're asking them to look at that information and look for trends, for patterns, and then think about why this matters. Like, why do we need this information? What are we going to use it for? How does it affect the way I live, or how communities interact with each other, how systems work? This is all the kinds of things that we need information for, so that we can analyze it and come up with new strategies and new ways of thinking to be able to grow and to grow our communities and grow our nations. Analysis grows naturally when students are allowed to express their curiosity through questions and comments and processing of all this information. It does not happen when students are rushed to conclusions and made to rush through different activities to just come up with an answer. If your classroom is answer focused and getting the right answer, your students are not practicing analysis. Analysis takes time. You have to pause. You have to allow for reflection. You have to allow for the information to sink in and for thinking time, so that students can process the information and think of how they want to answer a question that you have proposed. So the other thing is, when you're analyzing, you need to think around the information. Like, where is this information coming from? Who is giving me this information, and how can I trust this information? And especially in this day and age, with all the information that is coming from us, with AI being able to produce so much false information that just is bombarding us on our devices each and every day. It's so important for us to teach analysis, so that students are asking these questions, that they're able to figure out what is true and what is not true. So some strategies that, or a simple strategy that you could use, is just that every activity, every section of your teaching structure in a day, that you ask, this is one simple strategy just to improve analysis, is to ask an analytical question at the end. Why did we do this? Why are we studying this topic? Why is it important? Um, Looking at the particular content, you're studying history. Why do you think that happened in history? What was happening around it that particular event was allowed to happen, or that it just did happen? What patterns do you notice? Or how is this the same, or how does it relate to what we learned yesterday or last week? How are these ideas connected, and how can we get learning out of all of this information that we've been given? So it's just picking one question that pertains to whatever learning you're doing, to allow students to reflect. And if you have the practice of journaling in your class, it could be a reflection question for their journal, that everybody's allowed 5 minutes, 10 minutes to reflect on the question and write out their answer. And in this reflection, the most important thing is to allow student voice. They need to have that confidence to be able to share whatever it is they're thinking. You might think it's wrong, but somehow in their brains, they are processing the information and they come out with this might seemingly ridiculous idea. But as teachers, we need to be able to analyze that idea and see what pieces they're putting together to come to that idea. And in that way, we can guide their thinking and ask more questions and put more information in there to get them to come to more obvious truths, or more correct information. So analysis begins to flourish when we value students' contribution, when we value the students' thinking process. You will see the light in their eyes. You will see them glowing with their learning. They will be going home and telling their friends and family everything that they learned at school. So, just a little reflection for you as teachers and a gentle challenge is to really think about when it is that you speed through your curriculum or your content. And we all do it as teachers. We have administrators on our backs. We have so much as just like, oh, yeah, I taught that. We teach a lot of stuff. Are the students learning it? That's the key point. So just challenge yourself to think, am I allowing time for analysis in the classroom? Am I asking students for their take on the lessons? Or am I just asking them to remember information that I'm giving them? Think about places where you could slow down and just allow the students time to reflect and process the information that you're giving. Analysis is not an advanced skill at all. It's a habit that grows with practice. So let's, this week, as we go into our classrooms, do a little bit of analytical thinking about what is happening and why it's happening in your class, and make some small shifts in your perspective in how you allow your students to express their curiosity, express their ideas, and to really put into practice some of these strategies for critical analysis. So next week, we're going to move towards the process of using logical reasoning in our analysis. So we're going to dig deeper into that. And I also just wanted to let you guys know that this course, the series that I'm doing online, that I have a full-blown course where you can meet with me one-on-one or in groups. I mean, you can meet with me personally, where I teach this stuff in an in-depth way, where we talk about your specific classroom, what is happening there, and how we can build up your skills to really improve critical thinking among your students and in your context. So if you're interested in that, just give me a DM, and I'd be glad to talk you through what that means. So yeah, I would love to hear from you. Even if you just want to talk or ask questions, please feel free to leave a comment, to DM me, whatever. I have a WhatsApp group. You can join the group and start conversations there with a group of teachers who are really interested and wanting to grow and develop in this area. So thanks so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care. Bye.